this subject is, and the series of this subject is to bring a person into the full understanding of what love is, and then take them through an understanding of how God, Elohim, teaches an individual what love is. Our motive force in the two greatest commands is love. So if we're not fully understanding what love is, then how could we say that we're not being selfish and self-centered or selfless if we don't fully understand what we're doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the source of our love, the rock. I'm going to break that down. Old Testament, New Testament, all the indications. The rock is Christ, Mashiach. And then I'm going to go through the explanation of what love is. I'm going to throw in there at the beginning of this, the next thing is going to be what salvation is. So as you go along, you can see where you're being nurtured in your studies, you're not being nurtured in your studies, and the things that are hindering you, and the things that sometimes you impose upon yourself, the little things of what it says in the New Testament, Bereshah, is that the flesh and the spirit are contrary to each other. So we're going to address all these things of the cross, pole, whatever people believe it is, the crucifixion process of the flesh being subdued so that the spirit can dwell and we can learn and be nurtured from that. And that's the process of what we're trying to do and accomplish, is the roots into the rock, because it's a command to be grounded, rooted in love in Ephesians 3:17. So there's a whole process of what's called in the New Testament a mystery, is how they translate it. In Greek it's mysterion. The same or cognitive word in Hebrew is Hanak or Hanukkah, which we'll get into when I finish explaining and extrapolating the whole point of salvation and the whole point of tools that the serpent uses to prevent our flesh from elevating itself. When you're in the spirit, he has really no authority over you, but when you do things in the flesh and you're trying to excel in a authoritative fashion, because no flesh shall exalt itself, then there's this opponent. When you're just being in the flesh, there's probably no indication that you're just being you. But when there's an application of authority, there's that all things work for the good for those who are called, because we're not supposed to exalt ourselves in the flesh. We're supposed to be in the spirit, not by might, not by strength, but by my spirit. So literally koach, vigor, and chayil, force, in the quote out of Zechariah. So as we're going along, there's some aspects, and this is pretty important, where you are in the flesh, but the adversary really doesn't have anything to do with it. But because there's no authority there, there's no nothing. But if you're striving for authority, his purpose is no flesh shall exalt itself. So in essence, we're going into the process of learning what love is, learning the source of the love, the rock, and then going through the process of walking in this to learn. Not that you immediately receive it and understand it, because it doesn't work that way, but as you become a doer of the word, you learn. It's very clear. And then as you are finished with the foundation, love, then the next process is going through the opening of what's called the eyes, which are upon the rock.